Hi everyone. Today we're going to go ahead and start review for the Unit 12. We're going to focus in on review number 1. We're going to break this into two parts. Today we're going to be focusing in on questions 1 through 10. So the video today will be based on questions 1 through 10 only. I just want to mention to you guys how proud I am of each and every one of you. I know learning some of this material, especially graphing the trig functions, can be a little bit challenging. So I just want to take the time right now to tell you guys how much I truly appreciate all of the hard work that you've put in the last few weeks. So this week we're going to review. Next week you guys are going to have your test. I am going to have videos for the test questions. They're going to be similar to what you're going to see on the test. And then you guys will complete that test. All right, so this one right here, they want you guys to focus in on the amplitude, the frequency, the period, and the equation of the midline. So our amplitude is always out in front. This is my amplitude. This right here is my frequency. And this right here is my midline. I always put F for frequency when it should be B. So those are the three things that you're going to be focusing in on. And then, of course, the period is 360 or 2 pi divided by your frequency. So for this one right here, my amplitude is 3. Again, that is one mistake a lot of students make when they are going ahead and doing something like this, because they want to say that it's -3. That negative, just recall, is the reflection over the x-axis. My B, my frequency, is 2. Now I want you guys to be aware of when something is in degree and when something is in radian. This particular problem right here is in degree mode. So when you think of cosine, you would start at the amplitude, end at the amplitude, start at the amplitude, end at the amplitude. You would see two frequencies here, okay? So that's what that looks like. This number 2 is in radian. You can convert that to degree if you feel more comfortable dealing with that, but it should be interchangeable, hopefully, by this point of the unit. We have the period here. We have 360. I'm going to use degree and radian so you guys see both. I've been, when I'm going through all the examples so far, I kind of just go back and forth, but so we have 360 divided by 2, that's 180. That means you're going to see one cycle from 0 to 180, 180 to 360. You're going to see that second cycle, or you can have 2 pi divided by your frequency, which is 2. That 2 divided by 2 cancel out, and you're left with pi, which is also equal to 180. This is in radian, this is in degree. And of course, the equation of the midline, you're going to find that right there. That's y is equal to 8. That means everything was shifted up 8 units. Number 2, my amplitude is 1/2. My frequency is pi over 4. This is the amplitude, this is the frequency. The period here is 2 pi divided by 4. And I'm going to show you this work right here, but you can really truly stick that into your calculator. But you have 2 pi divided by pi over 4, 2 pi times. So we change, we flip, or we're multiplying by the reciprocal. You're going to see that this right here and this right here is going to cancel out, and we have 2 times 4, which is equal to 8. Okay, and the midline is equal to, y is equal to 0, because we have plus 0 here. That would be our midline. Okay, question number 3, we have our A, B, and C. And I just want to show you, going back to question number 2, I just want to make sure you guys see this. If you want to right here, you can do alpha y equals, put that in a fraction. You can have 2 pi, and then you guys can also have alpha y equals to write that second fraction, and then pi divided by 4. and that'll also give you 8. So you can do that too. Okay, so the amplitude is 4, the frequency is 3, and the period is 2 pi divided by 3, and you can leave it like there. And your equation of the midline is y is equal to -2. And again, that is in degree. We're going ahead back here to number 4, and we're shifting to radian. So just note that this right here, this is degree, this is degree. That means you're going to see 3 sine curves from 0 to 360, and this right here is in radian. So my amplitude is 1/2. My frequency right here is pi. The period is 2 pi divided by pi, which just gives me 2. And the equation of midline is y is equal to 0. All right, moving on to the next part. For the given function, we want to state the max and the min. I just want to give a little review to find the max and the min. Remember, to find the max, you're going to do the midline plus the amplitude. And for the min, you're going to do the midline minus the amplitude. Okay? So max, min. My max is going to be my midline, which is 55. So I have 55 plus my amplitude. Remember, the amplitude is right out in front. This is my amplitude. This is my frequency. And that right there is the midline. So we have 55 plus 20, and that's going to give me 75 for my max. My min is going to be my midline, which is 55 minus my amplitude, and we are going to get 35. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Max, min. My max is my midline, which is 100, plus my amplitude. We get 135. For my min, you're going to have 100 minus 35, which is going to give you 65. Okay, these two are the exact same thing, max, min, and we also have a max and a min. My max right here is my midline plus my amplitude. 1 plus 1/2 is 1.5. We're going to go ahead, midline minus the amplitude, and 1 minus 1/2 is going to equal 1/2. And last but not least, we're going to go ahead. We have our midline, which is -20, plus my amplitude. -20 plus 14 is -6. And for my min, we have -20 minus the amplitude, which is 14, and we're going to get -34. Okay, now we're going to get into some graphing. I am going to go ahead and show you 2 ways to graph. Now, I noticed some of you guys are not making sure that you actually plot points. You have to plot points. It can't be just an estimation. I want certain points plotted when you guys are doing this. The one thing I want to keep in mind is that if you want to use your graphing calculator, you're more than welcome to. The biggest thing with the graphing calculator is that you have to set it up for this type of function that you guys are graphing. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to check your mode. Now, sometimes you're in degree and sometimes you guys are in radian. You need to take a look at the function. So for example, this function right here is in degree. So you need to make sure when you're doing this that you hit your mode. And right now I'm actually in radian. I would have to go over to degree and hit enter before I start this. You also want to make sure that your window is set up correctly. This right here is something that a lot of students forget when they're going ahead and doing this on their own. You have to change your window. Your window is going from 0 to 360, your x values, okay? I used a scale of 45. This is changed. You can change it based on the question that you have, but I've been using 45. And then, of course, your Y min and max. You guys can see here that we have an amplitude of 3, and we're going to move everything down. So -10 to +10 is perfect, and I'm going up with a scale of 1. So you have to go ahead and change your window. So make sure you hit window, and I have my window set up. The next thing that you want to do is you want to change the table setup, okay? Make sure your table setup, you can start at 0, and that you're going up by 45, okay? And this right here, I think is at 1, so you need to make sure that you change that. So now, if you have your calculator all set and ready, you can go ahead and just put this function right into your calculator and just plot those points from the intervals of 0 to 360. But if you don't have your calculator set up, and some of you guys don't have a calculator, you can also sketch this by hand, which I will show you too. So I'm going to just show you using your calculator. You would just hit y equals, so hit that 3 sine x, and then you would just do -1. You would go to your table values and you would start at 0. Now you'll see 0, -1, but then at 45 you'll see some decimals. Don't graph that one. Then you'll go to 90, 2, 135. You're not going to graph that one. 180, all the way up to 360. Okay, so you're more than welcome to go ahead and use those key points and plot them. That's perfect. If you're doing it the long way, the first thing that you want to do is you want to graph this y equals sine of x, okay? So you guys are going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, let's see, 1, 2, no, I have to go by 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Make sure that you're labeling this here. You can do it in degree or radian. 90, 180, 270, 360. If you guys are doing it in radian, I'm just going to write the radians down here. You can have pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. This is 90, 180, 270, 360. I'm going to first graph y is equal to 3 sine x. That means this is my amplitude, and we have one frequency from 0 to 360. Just a reminder that sine starts at 0 and ends at 0. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and plot my 5 key points. This is what a lot of you guys are not doing. Sine starts at 0, midway back at 0, and ends at 0. You're going to go up to 3, okay? Sine goes up to 3, back down to 0 midway, back to -3, up. So this right here is y is equal to 3 sine x. That is not the equation we're looking for, however. We're going to go ahead and realize that we're going to shift everything down 1 unit. So you're going to take this, put it down 1 unit, shift this down 1 unit, down 1, 1, and 1. And we're going to have y is equal to 3 sine x minus 1. Now you guys can see that we have our midline of -1 for this right here. So this right here is our midline. And we'll have y is equal to -1 for our midline. And for our midline, it would start at the midline, halfway, back to that. And the midline, remember, is the average between the highest and my lowest point, okay? So you guys can see that my amplitude right here, amplitude is equal to 3. my frequency, 1, my amplitude, my frequency, my period is 360 divided by my frequency, which is 1, or 2 pi divided by 1, and you don't need to put that divided by 1. And your equation to the midline, y is equal to -1. Okay, we're going to move on to the last question here. Again, if you guys are using your calculator, you guys go ahead. I know we talked about this. You guys can just hit negative cosine alpha y equals 1/2 x, okay? And then, now this one is in radian, so when you guys are doing this, please make sure that you hit mode and that you know that you have to jump to radian, and then you guys can go to your table values and graph those. Okay, all right, so the next thing that you guys are gonna do is, oops, should look like that. Oh, this is actually in degree. This is half. There's no pi. How do you know something isn't? When I push the table, I noticed. So hit mode, go back to mode, make sure it's in degree. The reason that you know something is in degree or radian is obviously if you see pi, you just see 1/2. So it is in degree. So go back to second table and graph those points. Again, there are certain points that you're not going to graph here. So you would graph 0, -1, but 45 has all these decimals. 90, no. 135, no. 180, you would plot, okay? So this is only going to be half a cosine. So I want you guys to see cosine starts at the amplitude. This is going to be at -2, ends at the amplitude. But you're only going to see half of this right here, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and graph this. We're going to sketch this, though this wants us to go from -360, so going back to the calculator, please make sure that you guys start and move to -360 and then plot all those points to +360. So we're gonna go ahead and mark off 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We have to obviously so we have -360, -270, -180, -90, 90, 180, 270. Oh, my dog is having a little fit because my daughter just walked outside. Okay, so for this one right here, we're going to have -2 cosine 1/2 x. So you guys are going to see that we're going to only have half of the curve here. And we're going to be going to -2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So cosine usually will start at the amplitude and end at the amplitude. However, this is a reflection, so just keep that in mind that this was reflected. So we're going to be starting at -2 here. You guys will see that we're only going to see half the curve right here, okay? So when you guys see this, you're going to start at -2, halfway is 0, up to +2. Then for here, -180, up to +2 here, okay? And again, make sure that when you guys are going ahead and that you have some curve like here, and that you have y is equal to -2 cosine 1/2 x. There was no shift up or down, so we know right away that the midline is y is equal to 0 right there, the distance midway between the max and the min. Your frequency is just a half. Now, it looks like it's a whole, but When you talk about a period, you're talking about from 0 to 360. So this, you're only seeing half of the curve right here. So we have 1/2. My amplitude is 2, and the period is 360 divided by 1/2, or 2 pi divided by 1/2. Okay, so this will give us 720 or 4 pi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a wonderful day. Bye.